Kentuckians for Medicinal Marijuana addressed the House Health and Welfare Committee on Thursday, January 9, 2014. The group met for a rally in the rotunda prior to the hearing where Director Jaime Montalvo and Josh Stanley of Colorado's Realm of Caring Dispensary addressed the group.
Support, talk about it. Tell your legislative members that you support cannabis reform. Call the 800-372-7181. Tell them that you want this as a legal option. You don't want to get unregulated medical cannabis from the street because you don't know what's in it. You want safe access. You don't want to have to move out of the state to treat your condition. You want to stay right here at home with your family members. And, I call this home. I don't want to move. And that's why I'm fighting here to legalize it in this state. Because moving is not an option for me, just like moving is not an option for the majority of us over here.
And, I take my hat off to pioneers like Dr. Sanjay Gupta, who we've been working with for now a couple of years. And I actually have a new documentary coming out where you're going to be able to see some of these amazing, precious children go from before, during, and after treatment. There's currently 10 families that have moved from Kentucky to Colorado. I don't have to tell you how ridiculous that is, do I? For children, when we started a nonprofit organization, we currently now treat hundreds of children. It started with little Charlotte, then it went to Zakai. We're experiencing a 98% success rate, but typically 88% of those children see between a 95 to 100% reduction in their seizures, when otherwise they would have passed away. Why? Because of medicinal hemp. It's not about getting high for them. It's about saving their lives. And the fact that you parents, you mothers, and you fathers living here in Kentucky have to look across an invisible border and a boundary while your children suffer and your children die, that's not okay. And that's not going to happen anymore. And that's why you've come here, and that's why we're here together. I'll do anything I can. My family will do anything I can. Anything that we can do to help you out in this regard. We're here to bring medicinal cannabis. We're here to bring even recreational. We're here to bring industrial hemp back home because this is where it belongs. So it's I'm honored. I'm absolutely honored to be here. I'm looking at it and I can tell that there's mothers and fathers here. And you know the number one rule of nature, right? You don't poke the mama bear. And you're standing up for it right now, and I couldn't be prouder to be here with you. Thank you.
Following the rally, the group split up to meet with their individual legislators and ask for their support. The hearing began at noon, and supporters packed the room, as well as an adjacent overflow room equipped with a video feed. Only standing room was available, as Stanley told the committee of the benefits of medicinal cannabis.
An indica or a sativa. The indica plant primarily comes from the mountains in the Himalaya. It's traditionally a smaller plant. We've been doing a lot of different types of research studies in the indica plants on certain types of cancers, varying ratios in that regard. Cannabidiol possesses a wide range of benefit. I began studying cannabidiol and studying research documents out of Israel, out of Portugal, and Spain primarily. About 10 years ago, started to get into these studies and started to research these studies on kindled rats that were kindled with a variety of conditions and diseases. And at the risk of sounding like a snake oil salesman, everything that I will talk about, we are proving in our laboratories in Jerusalem and in Tel Aviv, and also now soon to be the University of Utah. Cannabidiol was found in 1949, though they didn't know what it was, to be an incredible anti-seizure, anti-epilepsy compound. In fact, it was even published in the Salt Lake Tribune in 1949. And after that publication, it was tabled. It was shut down and no research had been done to it until a couple of years ago. Probably one of the most unique situations that we can really get into and we can show pure efficacy is in our most recent study here in the United States, not on kindled rats, but on humans. I want to introduce you to a little friend of mine. Her name is Charlotte Figge. Charlotte was 5 years old when her mother called us at the end of February 2012. We had just been successful in breeding a medicinal cannabis plant that was very, very high in cannabidiol and extremely low, in fact so low it would fall under the UN standards and U.S. Department of Agricultural standards as to what hemp would be. And her mother had called us, and we were about to start a study on adults. And she said, you have to help my child. She's 5 years old. She suffers from a syndrome, a very rare and violent form of epilepsy called Dravet syndrome. Dravet is an intractable form of epilepsy that, unfortunately, and to speak hard facts here, most children don't see their teenage years.
Representative Benvenuti of Fayette County voiced his opposition to the bill. He offered to fill the committee room with first responders, law enforcement officers, and parents of dead children based on the effects of marijuana. Sheriff Denny Peyman of Jackson County had this to say.
As a law enforcement, I am a first responder. I get to see a lot of different things. The biggest problem in my county is opiates. I've never had a problem, of having to go to be a first responder for somebody that's been on marijuana, if it's overdosed, that's done, something. But what I see here today, and by talking to some of the families and some of the individuals here, they're actually not from our state, but they were from our state that had to relocate to go to another state where they can actually use the medicine that the cannabis, that makes for them, to see what it's done for those families. It gave me a very positive outlook on, a natural herb that can actually help an individual rather than a pharmaceutical that can make something, at a cost, to help an individual make them more comfortable.
When the committee adjourned, the crowd lingered in an eager discussion. When the rooms were cleared to allow the next committee, the crowd lingered in the hallway for yet another hour. The sick and ailing sought the advice of Mr. Stanley, while activists planned their next move. I spoke with Mr. Montalvo about the outcome of the hearing.
I really do think of it as a victory. We had a lot of support come out from it. We had a couple of representative members that we did not know supported it. They came out publicly. We had private meetings with a few of them. They support it. Now the thing is getting them to come out publicly, and we're going to be working on that in this coming up week. We really do think that this is a year for Kentucky.
Okay. What would you say the next step is for Kentuckians for medicinal marijuana as well as for this bill?
Well, we're going to continue trying to explain the medical aspect of cannabis, and we're going to try to continue lobbying all these senators and representatives. We will be working on getting co-sponsors for Senator Perry Clark's bill, which is Senate Bill 43, and we're going to try to get them to come out publicly, say that they're co-sponsoring it. Once that happens, and we have enough co-sponsors, it'll go to a committee vote once it's there, and if and when they do pass it, it'll go to the Senate floor. And we believe we've got a lot of support there that it will pass the Senate floor and move on to the House.
What's going to happen next Wednesday? Just try and get the word out about that.
All right, next Wednesday is the Senate Health and Welfare Committee meeting. We've only unfortunately been allotted 5 minutes in that meeting, but we're going to jam-pack it full of information for them, and hopefully they can extend it to a little bit longer time. We're going to talk about medical marijuana yet again and try to explain it to them and bring it home to a personal level. This is what we really need to show them. These legislative members just don't know that it's really affecting people here at home. And, we want to show them that patients are suffering here in Kentucky and that we're being forced to go to the streets to find this medicine, because there is no regulation. And we want that regulation because we want to have safe access. We want to have a safe, effective medicine. And, it's not fair to send us to the street and make us a criminal by purchasing this from street-level drug dealers.
Okay. Is there anything else you want to throw in, man?
Just continue making the conversation with your senators and representatives. This is really key. We as a whole have a loud voice, and if we do the correct things, they will support it because they are our elected officials. They're put in their position to represent our voice, and we as citizens need to contact them and let them know, hey, we support medical marijuana, and you as our elected official should support our vision of Kentucky. And, they will do that, but we need to speak to them, we need to call them, we need to tell them to support us and to back us up. And when we do that as a whole, we will get it done. But, we need to, like I said, contact our particular senators and our particular state representatives. That's the only way it's going to happen.
I'm the Blind Possum, and that's what's happening in cannabis today.